Hey, what's up, everyone? Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye here. It looks like Dom has to drink to speak with me, but we're back for part two of, so you guys just came from a video what we did on Dom's channel, which we talked about photography being easy. So if you're on my channel, definitely check that out. That was part one. We're back to part two. We got a couple more coming up, actually, that you might enjoy. But for this video, we're going to talk about overrated camera, or DSLR, whatever you want to call it, features. There's just some things out in the market that just shouldn't be there, and they drive up the price. Let's dive into this right about now. Intro aside.
Intro.
One of the first ones, and this is something I'm like very passionate about. I've made separate videos about this, and this is just the stigma. You need a crap ton of megapixels. High megapixels, I think, are a totally overrated feature. You know, these 36 megapixel cameras, these, yes, I know. that's why I said it. And I got, Dom just picked up the D800, D800, right? Oh, now you're new baby.
Yeah.
And it's like this new future thing where if you're not shooting medium format, you shouldn't be dying for 50, 100 megapixels, all these phases and everything like that. Plus, they cost more than a house and a car combined together just to buy. But the stigma of you need high megapixels for it to be better in low light, which is actually not true. And just, it's just unnecessary to me. I have my Nikon D700. Dom had this before. It's 12 megapixels and is one of the best low light cameras ever made. So it's just an overrated feature that I think that that should just stop being looked at. And everything is 24 megapixels now. There we go. That's the norm. Keep it there, whatever. But other than that, whatever.
Well, Eric, I would like to argue with you on this one.
Okay.
I would say that for weddings, 12 megapixel Nikon D700, the best camera there is. Full stop, no questions asked. The D750, which I tried out the other day, amazing sensor, 24 megapixels, actually okay. ISO ability is fantastic. Body shit. We won't go into that. I've gone into that a few times. But megapixels, multiple megapixels, I think do have some goodness to them.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there is absolutely no use for them, but, you know, sports photography is a good example.
Yeah, you do. Wait, you're saying you do need high megapixels for sports photography?
You don't, but it is more useful. That's how I can justify, because guess what? You might need to crop a little bit. And that will actually help a little bit. I mean, once again, I'm kind of stretching on this one, but I know there's photographers out there that said, oh, you should never crop your images, blah, blah, blah. But if you need to, yes, yeah. But if you need to, that's a good option, because the difference between blowing up or cropping into a 12 megapixel and a 36 is actually pretty substantial. But you shouldn't have to rely on that. You should have the right lens, all that kind of stuff. But that's the only way I kind of justify that.
What I would say is, for the majority, for 90% of camera owners, 12 megapixels is more than they will ever need.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for people who are dedicated landscape photographers, people that get up at 3 a.m., hike up the mountain to get the sunrise, I would say going for the D100 is. I've just been using it today, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. Its files are horrendously huge, and it takes forever to kind of do edits and all that kind of stuff on it. But it is for me, I'm just like going, oh, that's nice. I think also because it is a fantastic sensor, not just because it's a high megapixel sensor. It's a fantastic sensor.
It is.
But I would say there's different aspects for different photography. If you are a person, hey, I own a camera, you do not need more than 8 megapixels. If you're doing weddings, 12 megapixels. You can crop as much as you want at a wedding. There's not really much need to go. Like, even if you're printing out the biggest wedding magazine or book that you've got, you're still huge with 12 megapixels.
Yeah.
So you've got piles and piles to crop with that. But with certain, as you say, maybe with sports, okay, cool. But landscapes, I say the multi-megapixel, super megapixel cameras do have a place. Oh, just destroy your room there.
Just keep going. This iPhone thing is killing me. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I would say that it's more the fact that what you're reading Amateur Photographer magazine. How many megapixels do you need? You're like, oh, they don't need more than 8. So it's only once you're getting to really pro levels and you're doing stuff which may require a lot of cropping and editing afterwards that you need higher megapixels. But if you are just a person that takes pictures of flowers in your garden, birds in the sky, a local park, kind of shit like that, no, you absolutely don't. So I would say it's unbelievably overrated for the general public.
But that's the bad part is like and I like to go just for fun. I like to walk into like my local Best Buy or local consumer store and just see what they have to say when they have their, they even have like the D610 out there and stuff like that, and just hear their pitch, because I know one, they're not photographers. For the most part, because some of them they're like, oh, hey, you have to go buy cameras today, and they're like, okay. But it's just funny. It's just like, yeah, their first point is, yeah, this has 24 megapixels. I don't care about that. Tell me about the actual stuff about the camera, like how is it in low light, all that kind of stuff. It's just a selling. I mean, obviously these manufacturers need to sell their cameras, but it's just a consumer selling point for the most part. Like you said, 90% of the time.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I'm actually going to give a little shout out. I don't know if you're cool with this, but there's a guy called Michael the Mentor. Have you ever seen his videos?
I have not.
This guy absolutely rocks camera comparison videos. Like, just so good. Each video is about 30 minutes long, but he goes like badass into attempts of reviewing the camera. So he's like done one of the Nikon D700 versus the Nikon D800 or something like that. But he will go into the speed of the autofocus, the accuracy of the autofocus, the dynamic range, this and that, and so many things. Which for him, like when watching his video, you're going, I am so clued in now because I now know every feature. Yeah. So instead of saying, like for example, Nikon always goes on about that we have the DX3500 autofocusing sensor. That means nothing.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, those are just numbers and things. It's like, is it only 3,500? I thought I was waiting for the 4,000. It doesn't make any sense. But Michael, I think it's Michael the Mentor. His videos will properly test that. Whenever they're saying it can focus in low light -4 EV, he's done proper tests where he does like 30 focus close and back, and he's measured the times and all that kind of stuff. So for camera reviews, I would I'm doffing my cap to Michael the Mentor. If any of you are on our channels, Michael hasn't spoken to me, I haven't spoken to him. I've just left a couple of comments on his video just in the past, just because I'm like, thank you so much for these reviews, because these are
huge shout out. Then no, that's awesome. I'll definitely check him out as well. So,
but as you're saying, like people in the shops just gonna go, oh, it's got 24 megapixels. You're like, yeah, but what does that mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So consumers walking in there, they have no idea what a megapixel or even a light ray sphere.
Oh, mega ray, yeah.
We won't go there for this video.
That's a day's worth of ranting going on.
Maybe that's a whole different thing. Another one for me, and I guess it's kind of a thing. An overrated feature to me is a touchscreen. It just drives up the price. It's a little. I know you have your Panasonic, which you are in love with, but it's just another price thing. It's just something else that I don't know. It's just a little overrated to me. But that, and combined with like these tilty screens and how people are just going crazy on them, like, oh, you need this, or screw you, I don't know why you hate it. It's not that I don't hate it. It's just for the majority of the time you don't need it, and you're worrying about too much of firing at the hip or something like that, and you're not worrying about, is this thing actually in focus, and you keep firing. But more or less, these selfie screens that have come out recently, especially with this mirrorless market, where the target is selfies in a $800 camera, which is
okay. Eric, you covered a spectrum there, which goes from argument to total agreement.
I know.
Yeah, you covered yourself well there. For me, the touchscreen, initially for the first 2-3 days, I was like, this is a bit annoying. So the Panasonic GH4 has got a fully articulating touchscreen screen. And I initially, the first couple of days, I was like, what the fuck, or accidentally pressing it and getting confused. But see, from just menu scrolling, well, granted, the Panasonic has a ridiculous number of menu pages. But when I went from that to the Nikon D750, I was constantly at the D750 going, touching the screen, I just want to go to this page. Using the little, what they call the D-pad, this thing here, I find now so slow, so cumbersome. If I want to go to the bottom menu button, I need to go back, down, 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 in. I was like, oh, with the touchscreen, I can just go click, done. And it's got scrolling things. If I want to change the aperture on the Panasonic, I can just scroll it that way, or scroll it this way, or scroll up and down and all that stuff. It's which is great for certain operations. If you're doing video and you want silent operation, you can just scroll without having to click, 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 click. So the touchscreen, I am fully in favor of that, especially for people that are doing a lot of video work, where they may have to change settings while filming. A touchscreen, granted, there may be a tiny amount of vibration as you touch the screen kind of stuff, but it's nothing compared to the click, 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 click. Yeah, nothing compared to click, click, click. And also, the fully articulating screen that you've got with the Panasonic GH4 is fantastic because you can rotate it all the way back into the camera, so it's safe and you're not going to get any scratches. That's the one. With this, you're always having this like extra plastic screen on, which is. Ugh.
If anything, that's the one I would prefer if I had one because of that protection. But like with the 750, I felt that thing was cheap. I did not like that screen on that at all. I mean, it was just very flimsy. I didn't trust it 100% compared to, like, I've held a GH3 and it had the same thing, you know, with the articulated screen, like the 5200s and all that stuff. If anything, I would love that screen more because you have the protection, and I think that's a little bit more useful. But like, I guess it just depends on like the build quality and stuff like that. So I agree to an extent.
The other one, okay. So if we say the best one is the GH4, the next level of kind of flippy outness is the Nikon D750. That one for me was over-engineered. You've got cables and wires and bits that move, and it's just like,
but it was cheaply built. You could literally cut them with scissors.
It looks like Meccano. It looks like Meccano, and also there's a wire that goes out of it, up and round, and into the computer. And I was like, yeah, this is weatherproof. Sometimes I think it's like if water gets down that wire and goes into the back of the cables, you're like, oh, that's I don't want to find out how weatherproof this is. And so I shot a wedding the other day. I still need to do the video of me talking about the photos from it because the images I'm not complaining about them, but the actual the Flippy screen I used for 3 photos throughout a wedding, which was 700 photos. And even then, when I did the 3 photos, I was still like, this is a pain in the ass. I can't be bothered because it was just shit. But touchscreen, I think is good. Flippy out screens, fully articulating, good. What was it? I was in your favorite then. What was it you were talking about then? There,
the selfie screens.
Selfie screens. What the fuck are they about?
It's like the D750, but now, and I didn't even know I had this with the Sony RX Mark III. What I had, but the ones that now flip above, so that way you can take the perfect selfie, and that way you can trigger them that way, and it's just like, oh my god. Fuji just had one. I just did the preview on it because it just came out a week and a half ago now, I think. And I'm like, ooh, Fuji, what are you doing? You have a really nice reputation for not necessarily the consumer market, but prosumer, professional, and you degrade your brand with something like this, where your first thing is you get a 180-degree selfie screen. You called it a selfie screen. No.
Yeah. The little question. See the Fuji one? I saw a picture of that. It looks like the actual screen isn't 180 degrees. It gets hit by the eyepiece, and it's actually kind of slightly pointing up the way.
Yeah, I think that that might be. I mean, once again, that could have been a prototype they took a picture of. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, but it's just still, or at least the theory, because then Panasonic just did one 4 days after, which it was almost essentially the same thing. They added a different way to trigger it, but it's just like, meh, come on, and it's not hitting the right market. I know this is its own rant alone, but like, you're charging $800 for a consumer feature. Who the hell is going to buy that? Like a couple people commented, they're like, well, this is targeted for the, you know, the consumer market or someone who likes the selfies or vloggers. Yes, I understand the need for vloggers, which make money from this, but 85% of the market who does these selfies or whatever, you're not paying $700 to $1,000 for this camera. It's not useful.
But also, this Flippy completely up the screen, I see how in no way that is in any way better than what Panasonic has got with its fully articulating screen, which you can have out the side. So there's like they've engineered something which they didn't need to engineer and nobody was asking for. You know, you can get it in any other camera already. Like if you get the Panasonic GH3 or 2 or whatever, it already has this, and you can get it for half the price of these new ones. Yeah. So yeah, that's selfie screens. You've got an iPhone, or if you've got a phone, you don't buy a £600 camera to hold. No, that's. I'm with you on that bit there.
So I guess we'll leave that one aside. That just blew my mind that 2 camera companies within days had the same thing. Another one I really want to bring up is the picture styles in the camera. And once again, this is going back to even when I used to work at a camera store, I heard one of the people that I worked with mention this as a selling point. And I said, Jesus Christ, do not do that. This is not a selling point. And they're like, yeah, you could do the fake miniature tilt effect in there. And, you could set your camera to full monochrome and all that kind of stuff. But if you set your camera to monochrome, your picture is black and white. If you put it in your camera, minus a RAW file, but if you, for the majority of the market, a JPEG, it's black and white, and they're like, well, why isn't it in color? This person came back and asked that. He's like, well, it's just it's just an effect. You don't want to teach that type of stuff. This isn't Instagram. It's a professional camera, or it's just a camera. You can do all that stuff extra in post. All these little things that you get, these picture styles, built-in effects, nah.
Yeah, and I had a friend of mine on YouTube. He did this whole video review about Fuji's film simulation. So that's
oh my God, yeah.
He's like, I'd taken 50 photos. I took them all in RAW. Oh, the film simulation isn't applied to the RAW files. So it's just like, I've just done a half-hour video which shows nothing.
Oh, that's torturous. Oh my gosh.
But in some of the other cameras, the kind of scene mode that you get in some cameras automatically changes it to JPEG. So you don't even get the choice of doing. Like for example, I think there's a miniature film simulation kind of thing, which you only get it in JPEG. So it's not like oh that was shit, I'll just save the RAW file from it. It's like, no, it's actually all you've got is a JPEG format. And I say this is fine for point and shoots or something like that, but at the same time, to have it on for something like the Nikon D750 as I think it was called scene mode or effects mode, you just kind of go, I just paid £1,700 for a full frame, pretty much professional camera here, and you're giving me like really shitty, just shit.
I am so down for revamping the dials on cameras.
Well, for example, what I love about this one is that it's got the mode dial is manual, program, shutter speed, or aperture priority. No other shit to have to scroll through and get all your way through it. The D750 had user 1, user 2, which you could program into more stuff. It had effects mode, scene mode, auto mode. P mode is not professional mode, it's program mode, which means it's pretty much as auto as you're going to get. If you want flash, you press this button. If you don't want flash, you keep it down. Yeah. But yet there's a whole extra knob on the D750 saying no flash mode. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake. And for a camera which is doing a lot of work, you don't want to have to be fucking around with shit you don't need. Yeah. And when you're paying thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars, you should be in the market where you are going, I know what I want. Yeah. If I'm wanting a point and shoot that has scene modes, fair enough. But when you're paying for a full frame, multiple £1,000 camera, you shouldn't be looking for, oh, I'm only buying it because it's got scene modes. Oh, I need those scene modes. What? Yeah, it blows my mind. The other slight different one though is I don't know if maybe with Nikon as well, but with Canon there is picture profiles.
It's different. That's a whole different thing. I use that in the video field by itself. That's different.
Yeah, yeah. So for video work, picture profiles, sometimes you kind of go, I just want to get up.
Well, they're not filters. They're legitimate. What's the way you could kind of say that they're functional settings, but like in a way, the picture profiles. But they're not like oh, this is just monochrome, or oh, this is just the red hue effect or something like that. That actually has a use.
They only work for the video most of the time. Like if you're shooting raw photos, it has no effect anyway. A raw file is a raw file. It doesn't matter whatsoever. But for video, that's a slightly different.
But speaking of raw, we kind of disagree on this one. How about raw video and 4K video? This is your point right here. How do you feel about raw video and 4K video? Why is it overrated, in your opinion?
Raw video, I would say, is highly overrated because, well, you've got different customer sets here. You've got, hey, I own a camera. I want the best video possible. And then they shoot raw video, and then they kind of go, oh, this video sucks. It's low contrast, low saturation, pretty dull, and you have to do shitloads of editing to it until you get there. So for the consumer, they'd be like, yay, I've got the best. The best actually sucks.
And it's a 14 gigabyte file.
Yes, raw video is monstrously huge. But at the same time, for professional working with camera work, so with me, I do a lot of professional video property work. Again, I don't want to fill up hard drives after hard drives after hard drives of raw video, which all I'm doing in the end is adding contrast, adding saturation, when I could just capture it in the first place. The main thing is sharpness. You don't want in-camera sharpness, you want to add that after. But other than that, the benefits that you get with raw video are so outweighed with the hassle of the editing and the effort that you have to do in the editing afterwards.
Once again, however, all depends on what you're doing. Like professional use is almost essential for color grading. Yeah, baby.
Then you go to the very last person, which I think equates to 1% of the buying public, and that is where they're kind of going, we are making a serious documentary of some sort of stuff, and we've got 3 months to shoot, edit, and export. Yep. Then absolutely fine, and your whole computer that you just buy a whole computer just for editing this one kind of file kind of thing. But if you're working day after day, you need to be fast and fluent. Raw file just takes up time and effort and hard drive space, which you just don't need, and just slows down everything.
No,
and I don't think you benefit enough from the raw video. The difference between a raw photo and a raw like a JPEG, you can really push a raw photo file with video editing softwares. They don't have nearly as much power as what photo editing softwares has.
Yeah,
argue.
No. For the most part, yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff like I do a lot of work with now Adobe Premiere CC. It's very, very strong, but a lot of people do the color grading, everything with the video with different programs because they are stronger. So yeah, I agree to that point. So before we kind of just wrap up this video and head to the next video, if you guys didn't know, we're actually doing 2 videos apiece. We're going to go to Dom's channel again, and once again, this is part 2 from part 1. What did you want to say about 4K?
Okay.
Being
Some
overrated.
of you may have seen, I've commented on a few people's videos in the past when they're like, oh my god, look at this Sony Handycam, it does 4K. And I have gone, why the fuck does anyone care about 4K? Nobody's got a TV that does 4K. Nobody's got a computer that can edit 4K. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I know. Totally changed. I'm now like, I love 4K. It's so good. The benefits of 4K that I've noticed so far is one. Whenever I use Final Cut Pro X, and I use a proxy file, so the actual speed of the editing is just as fast as if I was using 1080p, because the proxy file takes a tiny little version of it. But when you export it, so first benefit is, if If you're using proxies, you have no no slowness in your editing performance. The second thing is when you export it and you compress a 4K file into 1080p, 90% of the time it's actually producing a sharper, less noisy file, video file, than you get from a 1080 video at the same kind of setting. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. Third thing is that the ability to in-camera pan, in-video file pan without having to move the camera is so good. I've been recently doing a couple of headshot interview stuff, and the ability to just kind of go, I'll crop it so the person's on this side of the camera, or on this side of the camera, or down the bottom, turn it up, just brings out so much extra freedom of editing and composition afterwards. So you're just kind of going, this is so good. And it also means I can now use wider angle lenses, have the person further away, have a greater depth of field. So I'm not kind of worried about if they like step forward or step back, suddenly they're out of focus. So I can shoot 4K wider and crop in video to get the shot, and I've got a greater depth of field. So I'm like going, 4K is the bomb.
We all come to our senses on things. So I think that wraps it up. We covered a lot on overrated camera features. I mean, there's a couple little other small things, but we tackled some of the big ones. I know everyone's going to disagree with something we said, probably especially on my end. So we want to hear these disagreements. Write them down below, or agreements. That would be nice. We're very positive people. Write those down in the comments below. That would be amazing. And we are actually going to jump to Dom's video for part 3. So this is Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye here, with Dom Bauer. Once again, you probably know us, but what are we going to talk about in part 3, Dom?
Okay, next one. Super touchy subject. Wedding photography, but it's noobs. Noobs doing wedding photography. We've all got to start somewhere, but let's not start with a wedding. Okay, head over to my channel and we shall delve into this a little bit deeper.